Hey guys, just a quick 5-minute video on how do we find the y-intercept when it's in an equation, a graph, or a table, looking at all three of those today. So just a quick reminder, please remember that the y-intercept is the point at which the function is going to touch the y-axis on the graph. So we're looking for that one point, we're going to represent it with one number. So in another video, I talked about y equals mx plus b, that equation, that y-intercept form. Now, we've already learned to identify that the y-intercept, again, remember, that is the b spot. So this b spot right here, whatever number is there in that equation represents the y-intercept. So if you're given an equation, all you do is look at that spot and you're like, that's it, that's my y-intercept. But when I look at a graph, so now I have a visual picture, I don't have an equation, I need to be able to look at it and decide where is this function touching the vertical axis. So remember, the vertical axis is the y-axis. So you're going to say, okay, it's crossing here at 3 on the vertical axis, so 3 is my y-intercept. So for example, determining the y-intercept on this one, here is my y-axis. My function is intersecting at 3. So I would say 3 is my y-intercept of example 1. In example number 2, I have a red function and a blue function. The red function is crossing the y-axis at 3. So the y-intercept of the red function is 3. And then the blue is crossing the x-axis at -2. So I would say the y-intercept of the blue function is -2. Now we need to talk about what it's going to look like as a table. So if I notice, the coordinate point right here that we had just talked about is actually 0, 3. This coordinate point right here is 0, -2. Notice both of those coordinate points have 0 as the x value. So when we look at a table, the y-intercept is going to be whichever spot where the input or the x value is 0. That is the common factor we will see anytime we identify the y-intercept on a graph. That x value is always 0. So in example number 3, I know that I'm looking for the spot at which the x value is 0. So this very first one, x is 0, y is 1. That means my y-intercept is 1. So if I were to graph this, it would be on that y-axis. Example number 4. I know that to identify the y-intercept, I look for where x is 0. Going down right here. When x is 0, y is -1. So my y-intercept is -1. So this one will be plotted at -1 on that vertical axis. Example number 5. What is the y-intercept of this table? So again, I want to see where is 0 in my input, my domain, my x values. So I go down, I find 0 about halfway through. Across from it is 2. So my y-intercept is 2. So if I were to plot this point, I would go up on the y-axis and draw my point on 2. So that is it. I've shown you how to identify the y-intercept in an equation. It's always where that b variable goes. I've showed you how to visualize it on a graph and identify where the y-intercept is on a graph. And I've shown you how to identify it on a table. I understand this is a quick overview and I probably talked really fast. Feel free to watch the video again and pause it as needed. Thanks.